morning. Welcome to Learner Development and Learning. We are only going to summarize the examination. We are going to talk about everything that you need to understand for your examination purpose. Firstly, I would love you to understand the concept and also to understand the terms used when it comes to learner development and learning. And I also want you to understand the terms used when you are defining or when you are answering questions. Because when you are answering questions, I don't want you just to see one word and you start answering. I want you to fully understand the question, because sometimes the question says explain, but you are just listing. When the question says list, you are just explaining and discussing. So you need to understand the key term in the question itself. So you need to look at development, the definition of the concepts. You need to understand what are those definitions, especially in the first chapter. There are a lot of terms that has definitions. You should be able to define the following terms in relationship to development. When I'm saying in relationship to development, it means that in relationship to what the child goes through, in relationship to the child stage of development. So you need to understand stage of adolescence growth. You need to understand maturation. You need to define what development is. And we also you need you to understand developmental domains like physical, emotional, cognitive, and so on. You need to know what are those developmental domains all about. Multiculturalism and bilingualism is very important for you to differentiate between the two. So differentiate between the following domains: social domains, emotional domains, physical domains, and cognitive developmental domains. What is each domain all about? Social domains, emotional domains, physical domains, cognitive domain. You should be able to know what each domain represents, and also talk about factors that affect the domains mentioned above. What are those factors that affect those domains? Multiculturalism is a viewpoint that cultural differences should be respected and even encouraged. Multiculturalism is a way also to describe approaching cultural diversity within the society. The difference is that with bilingualism has to do with acquisition of two languages that use different speech sounds, vocabulary, grammatic rules. You need to understand what is bilingualism and multiculturalism is all about. They're complex and varies widely among individuals. You look also at maturity, what maturity is all about, and we look at the causes of early pregnancy and suicide among learners. What are the causes of early pregnancy and suicide among learners? You need to look at those things, like peer pressure, substance abuse, poverty, lack of information, cultural practice, and there are so many other factors that cause early pregnancy and suicide among children or among our learners. You know better in your community as well what exactly is happening, and such information, you just don't need to write everything that you get from the study guide, but you should also be able to use other factors that you just know from your community as well. So you should be able to discuss the effects of alcohol and drug abuse on learners. So we have, what are the effects of alcohol and drug abuse on development? On development domains, when we are talking about developmental domains, we are talking about the domains that we just mentioned: social domains, cognitive domains, physical domains, and so on. So how does alcohol and drug affect those domains? development domains. Alcohol can damage the liver, kidney, brain. People spend a lot of money on alcohol, neglecting the important needs such as food and so on. Alcohol and drugs destroy relationship. Children of alcoholic parents are likely to be neglected, and well, they also experience a lot of violence at home. Um, Substance abuse can affect our decision making abilities. We can decide to do something, but because we were under the influence of alcohol, and we end up doing something that we never thought of doing. Substance abuse can destroy careers. We have seen people who left their jobs because they have been abusing alcohol or drugs. It can destroy the careers, it can destroy the lives, styles of people. Women who use alcohol might practice unsafe sex, and not just women but men as well. And it can lead to unwanted pregnancy and also sexual transmitted diseases. Alcohol might encourage criminal activities, or people who abuse drugs can steal things to sell just for them to get their drugs. And we also have factors that in your community that are likely to affect normal development. We are talking about poverty. When people are poor, have nothing to eat, there's no food, they have no clean water, no sanitation, that can lead to diseases, and more death. And we have also violence. Children experience physical and emotional pain, and we have HIV and AIDS. Illness affects children, and loss of parents can also affect children. And we also have single parents family, where parents or a single parent cannot afford to take care of their children alone. We have substance abuse, we have alcohol abuse, can destroy their future. It can destroy, we're seeing a lot of learners dropping out of school because of alcohol abuse. And it can also, the factor of cultures. In some culture have good and bad practices, and some culture positively contribute to development, while other culture can also harm, where children are also forced to get married at early age and so on. Nutrition, if you don't have proper food, if you don't have proper enough food for you to eat, or you eat too much, it can also affect development. Proper nutrition is important for physical growth, and as well because your physical growth can be harmed, and when you are physically harmed, it can also harm your cognitive development. Understanding different types of abuse and indicate their signs. We have physical abuse, emotional abuse, and sexual abuse. You need to understand what is each abuse is all about, what is physical abuse is all about, what is emotional abuse is all about, and what is sexual abuse is all about. And you also tell us about their signs. How do you tell that someone is physically abused? How do you tell that someone is emotionally abused? How do you tell that someone is sexually abused? Discuss the influence of heritage and environmental on the development of an individual personality. Heritage and environment play a vital role in the development of individual. They are both interrelated and interconnected. So I want you to understand what each one is all about, because environment to which people are exposed, and you also have heritage, what you were born with. So environment is mostly for what you are exposed to in your environment. How is your environment? And heritage does not restrict fixed behavior, but instead establish the range of possibility development outcome that might come in response to different environments. So the two are interrelated, the two are interconnected. However, they are different because one deals with what inborn, and the other one deals with what you are exposed to, external factors, that is environmental factors. Another way is for people inherited tendencies to evoke certain environmental influence from others. A third way is for genes to encourage people engage in niche picking, seeking out experience that are compatible with their inherited tendencies. Some genes are naturally dominant. The environment where you grow up shapes you, and the environment consists of parents, nutrition, weather, siblings, and any other exposure, external factors. And or they have impacts on the way we grow up and the way we behave. That's why we will find children from America might behave differently from children from Namibia because of the exposure and also their environment. And we need to look at causes of behavior problems in schools, misbehavior. What are the causes? Learners misbehave because to conform with their peers, and sometimes they are also frustrated at home. School rules or regulation might not be rigid and strict, but also maybe punitive and unnecessary. In classes large and overcrowded, maybe it's hard for the teacher to control them. And the curriculum offered at school might be of less importance. Curriculum offered is not challenging. The society does not really respect the school, and problem might lie totally disruption of family life, and children are suffering from lack of warmth, acceptance, and provision of basic needs because nobody is paying attention to them. And it might be the teacher's attitude also toward learners, because sometimes it's us teachers that destroy children. It has teachers that don't feel learners being valued, and it affects them. It also poor school rules. It's also lack of qualified teacher, overcrowded classroom, and lack of life skills teaching in schools where learners need to learn basic skills. And you look at the discussion of strategy that can be used on combating behavioral problems in schools. What are the strategies that can be used? School rules must be explained to learners. The teacher should reevaluate what are the strategies, because we talked about behavioral problems, but we need to have ways on how to do it better. On what are the strategies to put up for us to really work on behavior. The school rules must be explained to learners, and the teacher should reevaluate their teaching approach. Positive reinforcement is very important, and teachers should have high expectation from learners, and expectation drawn up should be communicated to learners. Learners must know why are they at school in the first place. We also have to look at parents should be fully involved. The learner's environment should be conducive. Teacher must always have plans. It's important for us to go to school plans, not just going there gambling and just checking what can happen. Teachers should be in good relationship with learners. Then we have democratic styles. These are styles of parenting type of styles, and we also have what are the styles that we can use as teachers when we are at school. We have democratic style, where teachers try to understand, accept thoughts and feelings of learners. So that's where we have learners being involved. And we have authoritarian style. I want you to have a look at those styles and understand them. Teacher alone decide what is wrong and what's right, and has very firm conviction as far as this is concerned. Nobody else will contribute anything. So I want you to look at discipline and punishment. What are the difference between the two? When we are saying we are disciplining you and when we are saying we are punishing you, what are the difference? So you look at the difference between the two, where discipline emphasizes that what the learner should do, while punishment emphasizes what the learner should not do. And discipline is an ongoing process, and while punishment is just one-time occurrence. Discipline is sets an example to follow, while punishment insists on unconditional obedience. Discipline leads to self-control, because you are being disciplined for you to have self-control in future. And more punishment undermines independence, because they want to punish you. Discipline help learners to learn change. So, and while punishment serves as a release for the adults. Discipline is positive, while punishment is negative. Discipline accepts learner's needs to assert himself, while punishment forces learner to conform. Discipline promotes a positive self-concept, while punishment promotes negative self-concept. Lastly, discipline shapes the learner's behavior, and punishment contains the misbehavior. We also have to look at the importance of positive relationship of the teacher with the learner for effective of maintaining discipline. We look at what are the importance of why do we need positive relationship with learners. The quality of for positive relationship can vary to set learning experience approachable and also inviting learners to learn. The moment you have better relationship with the learners, it also helps you for them to learn, and it will also help them will to establish a positive relationship in the classroom. And the teacher needs to continuously monitor learners, and when you have positive relationship with the teachers, it also goes to the parents as well. Provide a better atmosphere for classroom environment. When you have relationship, a positive atmosphere in the class it will not create a tense environment. They will be able to help learners to learn at high level and accomplish quickly. Main learning style, I want you to look at the main learning style, which is visual, auditory, and kinesthetic style. Visual has to do with learner think with the pictures and learn best with visual image. They depends on the teacher's non-verbal cues such as body language to help them understand. Visual learners favor sitting in front of the class, looking at what is being presented. They also take descriptive notes about the materials being presented. They learn by seeing what is there. We have auditory one. This individual discover information through listening. They love to listen. They can learn just by listening and interpreting by means of speech. This individual gain knowledge from reading out loud. That's why you find some learners, when they are studying, they start by speaking loud. They are talking to themselves. So those are auditory type of learners who love to learn by listening, by hearing. While we have kinesthetic ones, individuals that are kinesthetic learn best with active hands-on approach. These learners favor interaction with physical world. They love touching. These learners are easily distracted. So I would love you to look at the difference between surface and deep learning. So surface learning approach learning where the main aim is to produce material, and just for the test you are just learning the basic. It's more rote learning, and but it's more for short term. But deep learning is more for long term learning, and it comes from understanding internalization something. Deep learning examine new facts. It's look deeper. It's for long term learning. You need to differentiate between the two, between deep learning and surface learning. When we are saying surface is the basic, just something on top, and when you say deep, we go deep. It's more about for future use. You should also be able to differentiate between short and long-term memory. Short-term memory, second stage, is short-term memory a temporary storage facility. Short-term memory is also called a working memory, and it relates to what we are thinking at the moment. While long-term memory provide long-lasting retentions, information from minutes to a lifetime. Long-term memory appears to have almost limitless capacity to retain information, but it could never be measured. So you need to differentiate what short-term memory is all about and what long-term memory is all about. differentiate between left and right brain. You need to understand what the brain is all about and which one is the left and which one is the right brain. And you look at the discussion of relationship between learner-centered approach and humanistic approach to teaching. What is learner-centered approach? You need to know what it is and why is it important. You need to understand learners' behavior and this approach, how is this approach needed in teaching. So you look also at gifted learners, how they display leadership skills and what is that we need to know about them. We need to know the signs that you need to pick up. You need to understand their characteristics. So he shows mostly they are exceptionally well in languages. They perform exceptionally well. They have self-confidence. They are willing to tackle new things. They reveal great degree of independence and so on. So you need to understand all this. And common barriers to learning. What are the common barriers to learning? What is those things that prevent learning to take place in a very successful manner? We have diseases like, for example, COVID-19, where learners didn't go to school, and chronic disease in learners, distance to school, overcrowded classroom, lack of learning materials, unqualified teachers still a problem, poor parenting support, poor behavior among learners, and bullying at school. Those are some of the factors that make learning difficult. However, you are not prevented from mentioning what you know. There are also some other factors that are not listed in your study guide. You are welcome to mention them. Also look at self-concept and also look at moral development. What are they and what do they represent? So I thank you and I wish you all the best for your examination. If you have any question, you should be able to give me a call between 1700 hours to 1900 hours. Feel free to call me. Feel free to call me and contact me so that I can explain better if you feel like something is not clear and you don't understand. I thank you and all the best for your examination.